anything for the lighthouse. Lord, I owe my life to Him. You see, Jesus is the lighthouse. And from the rock to sin, and shone His light of love around me. And I really see that if it wasn't for the lighthouse, tell me where would my be? I left out a few words. I left out a few words on purpose. For instance, when I was talking about the woman, and I said she was the first to receive certain awards or whatever, the word I left out was African American woman. When I left out the man who invented the first supercomputer, I did not mention that he was an African. And whatever other words there was that I left out the word African American. Should we say more? We have the clock because of African American. The almanac, the cell phone, the stoplight, the computer, the elevator door that open and close. Can you imagine life without blood banks, personal computers, and touch-tone telephones? These innovative creations and more would not exist if it had not been for the brilliant minds of 11. Did you hear what I just said? Could you imagine life without blood banks, personal computers? Touch-tone phones. These innovative creations and more would not exist if it was not for the brilliant mind of 11 African American geniuses. Thomas L. Jennings, 1700 to 1859, was the first African American person to receive a patent in the United States, paving the way for future inventors of color to gain exclusive rights to their inventions. And back then, if you were a slave and you invented something, your master got the credit for it. Born in 1791, he lived and worked in New York City as a tailor and dry cleaner. He invented an early method of dry cleaning called dry spooling and patented in 1821. 4 years before Paris tailor Jean-Baptiste Joly refined his own chemical technique and established what many people claim was the history of the first dry cleaner business. A black man beat him to it 4 years. So when you go get your clothes cleaned, understand, right? There are people objected to an African-American citizen receiving a patent, but Jennings had a loophole. He was a free man at the time. The United States patent law said that the slave master is the owner of the fruits of the labor of the slave, both manual and intellectual, meaning slaves couldn't legally own their ideals or inventions. But nothing was stopping Jennings. Several decades later, Congress extended patent rights to all African-American individuals, both slaves and freemen. Jennings used the money from his invention to free the rest of his family and donated to abolitionist causes, those who fought against slavery. If you ever owned the original IBM personal computer, those of you in business know how tough those computers were. If you ever owned the original IBM personal computer, you can partially credit its existence to Mark E. Dean, born in 1957. The computer science engineer worked for IBM, where he led the team that designed the ISA bus, the hardware interface that allows multiple devices like printers, modems, keyboards to be plugged into a computer. This innovation helped pave the way for the personal computer use in office and business settings. He also helped develop the first color computer monitor, and in 1999, he led the team of programmers that created the world's first Gizzard chip. Today, the computer scientist holds 3 of the company's original 9 patents and more than 20 overall. He was included into the National Inventors Hall of Fame in '97. He's currently a computer science professor at the University of Tennessee. Madam C.J. Walker, who is often referred to as the first self-made female millionaire, a far cry from her roots as the daughter of a Louisiana sharecropper. The entrepreneur was born Sarah Breedlove in 1867, and her early life was filled with hardships. By the age of 20, she was both an orphan and a widow. Breedlove's future changed after she moved to St. Louis, where her brothers worked as barbers. She suffered from hair loss and experimented with various products, including hair care receipts developed by an African-American businesswoman named Annie Malone. Breedlove became a sales representative for Malone and relocated to Denver, where she also married her husband, Charles Joseph Walker, a St. Louis newspaperman. Soon after, she began selling her own hair-grown formulas developed specially for African-American women. Breedlove renamed herself Madam C.J. Walker, heavily promoted her products and established beauty schools, salons, training facilities across America. She died a famous millionaire and is today considered to be one of the founders of the African-American hair care and cosmetic industries. She's one of the first women millionaires in America. Dr. Shirley Jackson, at the radical physicist who currently serves as the president of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute in Troy, New York. While working at the former AT&T Bell Laboratory, she helped develop technology that led to the invention of the portable fax, touch-tone telephone, solar cells, fiber optic cables, and technology enabling caller ID and call waiting. She was also the first black woman to graduate from MIT. So we thank God. Thank God for the cable. Thank God for the cell phone. And we thank God for the African Americans that helped develop this. Countless individuals, we read him, but I'll read it, owe their lives to Charles Richard Drew, the physician responsible for America's first major blood bank. Drew attended Yale University College of Medicine in Montreal, where he specialized in surgery. During a postgraduate internship and residency, the young doctor studied transfusion medicine. And later, while studying at Columbus University or fellowship, he refined key methods of collecting, processing, and storing plasma. In 1940, World War II was in full swing, and Drew put in charge of a project called Blood for Britain. He helped collect thousands of pints of plasma from New York hospitals and shipped them overseas to treat European soldiers. He is also responsible for introducing the use, now you know the history, of the bloodmobile, refrigerating trucks that transported blood. We read about the nurse who invented the security system, isn't that right? George Carrier, born in 1939, is an astrophysicist who spent much of his career working with the Space Science Division of Naval Research Laboratory. In Washington, D.C., he's most famous for creating the ultraviolet camera spectrogram with NASA, used when it launched Apollo 16 in 1972. He helped prove that the molecular hydrogen existed in interstellar space, and in 1974, space scientists used a new model version of the camera to observe Halley's Comet and other celestial phenomena from the United States' first space station, Skylab. He was introduced into the Hall of Fame of National Inventors in 2003. Patricia Bass, born in 1942, recognized the field of ophthalmology when she invented a device that refines laser cataract surgery called the Laser Paco program. She patented invention in 1988, and today she recognized as the first African-American doctor who received a medical patent. Bass was trailblazer in other areas too. She was the first African-American to finish her residency in ophthalmology, the first woman to chair an ophthalmology residency program in the United States, and she co-founded the American Institute for the Prevention of Blindness. If that weren't enough, she also was researching health disparities between African American patients and other patients, giving birth to a new discipline, community ophthalmology, in which volunteer eye workers offer primary care and treatment to undeserved populations. So you got that laser operation and stuff, you can help thank her for it. This little fellow here, Jan Ernest Matson, 19th century. He couldn't afford shoes. These things changed. The average 19th century person couldn't afford shoes. But thanks to Jan, an immigrant from Dutch Guiana today called Serena, he worked on as an apprentice in Massachusetts shoe factory. Jan invented an automatic shoemaking machine that attached the shoe's upper part to his sole. Once it was refined, the device could make 700 pairs of shoes each day, a far cry from the 50 per day that the average worker once sold by hand. Matron's creation led to lower shoe prices, making them family with financial reach for the average person. So thank God for your shoes, man. Alexander Miles. His best known was an inventor, was living in Duluth, Minnesota, when he designed an important safety feature for elevators. The automatic doors in the 19th century, passengers had to manually open and close doors to both the elevator and the shaft. If a rider forgot to close the shaft door, other people's risk accidentally falling down the long vertical hole. But what he did was he designed doors that allowed both of these doors to close at once, preventing an unfortunate accident in the making. Today, elevators still employ a similar technology. The doors open and close. You're looking at the working foundations of an African American. Of course, we all heard of George Washington Carver, amen? He was hired by Booker T. Washington to run the Tuskegee Institute Agricultural Department in southeastern Alabama. He helped poor Americans by teaching them about fertilization and crop rotation. And since the regime's primary crop was cotton, was draining nutrients from the soil, the science conducted studies to determine which crop naturally thrive in the region. This leguminous and sweet potatoes enriched the field, but there wasn't much of a demand for these, so Carver used a humble peanut to create more than 300 products, ranging from laundry soap to plastic to diesel fuel. By 1940, it was the South's second largest cash crop. He did all this with peanuts. Let's not forget peanut butter. What am I trying to say? The Gulf teeth, the modern toilets, the iron board, the traffic lights, many of the things that we use today have been created by African Americans. And I knew of some of the things, but not alone talk about how they fought in every major war. After the Civil War, the boundaries of the United States were protected by the Buffalo Soldiers, the black soldiers of the Union. And this is what I'm trying to say. And I need you young people to hear me, please. Leaning on a scene with a gangster lean, ooh, is not where it's at. Cash money, brothers, is not where it's at. Listen to me, and I was an OG, but that ain't where it's at. Making that fast money, selling them drugs, spending money on expensive chains and the golds, and trying to make a rap album. All of these are below you. Don't get me wrong. People do what they do, but when you strive to be like that, my young black brothers and sisters, you are living beneath your God-given brilliance. As I read these things, and I read more and more, do you know, listen to me, my young black brothers and sisters, how intelligent of a people we are? You living in a country where half the things going on, you created. But because you don't know this, you pick up you pick up a gun, we pick up a gun, and we use the cell phone, which we helped create, to make a dope deal. When you don't even know that it's through people like you that created the same cell phone you use. We run from the police and we hide. And we run into a building and jump in the elevator so we can go up another floor and come out another door, not realizing that the door is closed. We're hiding, running from the law behind the same door that's closing that we helped create. But here's the siren coming, and we're leaning on the scene with a gasoline with our rings, and we tough, and we pull to the side as they rush to take blood to somebody, not realizing that it was our people that made that possible, to save a life and not take a life. As you saw in the movie Hidden Figures of the 3 black women that helped NASA. But we make excuses because our baby daddies ain't paying child support, and we're going through and we're struggling coming up in the hood and find out that one of the first women millionaires in the country way back then was a black woman who refused to give up and made money off of natural products because she just had that business mentality. So you go to the hospital and there's an open heart surgery going on, and you see all the doctors from all the countries, and you sitting there saying, well, they're gonna take their time because we're black. They're gonna take it. But you don't understand that the first heart transplant was performed by a black doctor. Young people, hear me. When I was in Russia with the dentist, and we were sitting at the table with young Russians. And the dentist's name was Dr. So-and-so. And the Russian young man said, what are you a doctor of? Anybody listen to me? And he was not joking. He said, are you a doctor of basketball? The dentist, being an elderly man, what did he say to me? I said, Doc, he don't mean any harm. I said, no, he's a dentist. He said, you are? Yeah, he's a black dentist. They thought he was a doctor of basketball because they did not know the intelligence of the African-American Negro, black person, and a lot of us today don't know. You see, history shouldn't be divided like that. Could you imagine growing up knowing your contribution to this country, which is noted as one of the strongest countries in the world because of you? Could you imagine? Maybe we wouldn't have the Crips and the Bloods to that extent. Maybe crime wouldn't be black on black as it is. Because what I'm trying to tell you all is that you are very intelligent. Get your education. Stop walking around thinking you're a second-class citizen because you're not. Stop thinking it's a white man's world because it is not. A great deal of the technology in this country came from the African American to this very day. How intelligent, listen to me, young people. Don't walk around here with your pants all down, looking all funny as though you're some kind of dumb clown, because you're not. Don't get on the TV representing hood. You are better than that. You see, back in the days of slavery, the white slave master used to sit down and sit around and watch the slaves entertain. Because they could sing and they were strong, and they sit there and watch them entertain. And they would sit there and enjoy the singing. But after a while, the slaves began to communicate and use their intelligence. They began to sing, but Every once in a while, the slave master would wake up and say, where's some of our people? Oh, they were dealing with an intelligent people that had to adapt to a new world. They began to sing songs like, Michael row the boat ashore, hallelujah, go down Moses. And they said, all they sound so beautiful, but these were songs of the Underground Railroad. Intelligent. Break dancing in the Capoeira. The blacks of Brazil or South America, what parts of the world. They used to call them chicken fight. They were so talented with that every time a policeman a bobby would try to arrest them, the bobby would get hurt, the police would get hurt, because these guys were good. They outlawed it. Oh, but these people, they started a dance, a swing. Oh, that's a good dance. Neither did they know that it was an art. Capoeira. People of color have turned their situations around by the grace of God everywhere. And I'm here to tell you, you young black brothers and sisters, African American, mixed American, however they call us black African American, understand they call us black American. If you want to have some Hebrew blood in you, fine. Understand what I'm saying to my dark-skinned brothers and sisters, my people of color, my black American brothers and sisters. You are not second-class citizens. I don't care what the history shows. You are one of the most intelligent people, not only in the world, but in this country. Do you young people hear me? Let me tell you something. The reason why a lot of times they push the blacks in sports is because they try to make them think they were still in that slave mentality. You can run. Nigga, you can sing. Why don't you dance? Entertain us. Until some realize I got something better than a ball. I got something better than a song.